I just wanted to share a little bit about our school motto and our mission statement. The Bermuda Public Schools mission statement undergirds what we do every day. We truly believe that every child, when they come into the building every day, um, is ready to learn and can learn something. Each child may learn in different ways, as we all do. But once we step foot into the building, we are ready as learners, as a community of learners, because teachers are learning alongside children. So before I have the wonderful opportunity to introduce you to my colleagues, I would just like to say that I was reading something that I thought was very interesting, and I thought it was so appropriate. There is a correlation between when children feel loved and nurtured, and they feel as if their teachers like them and love them. There's a correlation between those feelings of nurturing and happiness and how well children do at school. There's a correlation between those two things. And so as I was reading that study, uh, it was heartwarming for me because I know that's the kind of space and place that we have at Prospect Preschool. I can vouch that every professional in that building loves children. They love working with children, and it's a happy place to be. Along with the learning, it's a happy place. And so I would like to introduce myself officially. My name is Mrs. Alana Wilson. I am the administrator at Prospect Preschool, and I work alongside our teacher leader, Mrs. Robinson, who helps support and coach alongside. I am going to also introduce the other members of staff. I'm not sure if Mrs. Robinson got to wave and say a few words.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Susan Robinson. Just as Mrs. Wilson mentioned, I do support the upper school, but I also have another role in the building, and I teach the students down below in the Growing Connections program, which is a program for students with exceptionalities, particularly with autism or global developmental delays.
All right, and so that's Mrs. Robinson, and then we have a group of teachers, as I said, that love what they do and are passionate about what they do. And as I introduce them, I would like for them to say a short word so you can pair a name with the face. We have Miss Morby, Miss Outerbridge, and Miss Simmons.
Hi, good evening. I'm Miss Morby. I'm one of the teachers here, and I've been teaching. This is the end of my 28th year. And so I love children and I love what I do, and I can't wait to meet all of you in September.
Good evening, my name is Christy Outerbridge. I've been teaching this is my 16th year, and we can't wait to meet all your babies.
Mrs. Robinson is going to introduce.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Tyra Simmons. Currently in my 9th year, and I can't wait to have some more creative chameleons in my class. I look forward to seeing each and every one of you in September.
Good evening again, and I will be introducing the Growing Connections program team. We all follow under the umbrella of the Prospect Preschool. But these are my ladies, my backbones who work with myself down below with our students. We have Mrs. Weeks.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Yuval Weeks. I am the paraeducator in the Growing Connections classroom, and I have worked with children on the autism spectrum for 13 years.
Thank you, Mrs. Weeks. And we have Miss Harvey. So I don't think Miss Harvey is on right now. Maybe she's having some difficulties, but Miss Harvey is also a paraeducator in the Growing Connections program. And I believe she's been at Prospect Preschool this is her 3rd year.
All right, so as I said, we have a wonderful team of committed and passionate teachers who love children and will ensure that your children are happy and they're learning and that they're safe and nurtured, which is most important in my opinion. So we're going to continue with sharing some of the other services that are provided at Prospect Preschool. Mrs. Robinson.
So in addition to our team on site, we do offer a few services similar to other government preschools. We do offer counseling services, occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, physiotherapy, learning support, and educational therapy or educational support for our students. So now we are going to add a face to a name. And unfortunately, we didn't have the opportunity to capture a picture of our educational therapist, but her name is Mr. Sean Dawes. We have Mr. Anthony Peaks in the center, who is our counselor, and Ms. Zalika Millet on the end, who is our current learning support teacher. In addition to the support staff, we have our therapist. We have Ms. Gail Parker, who is our physiotherapist, and Ms. Virgie, who is our occupational therapist, and Mrs. Wade, who is our speech and language therapist.
Wonderful. So as you can see, we have a well-rounded support system for children that may need various types of services. They are there as experts ready to support in those specific areas. And mind you, should it be deemed that your child may need the support of any of these services, you will be called to come on board and you will have to provide consent. So it's not something that just happens in isolation. You will be right along supporting the process, giving consent to the process as well, and be a partner in the whole process. So now you're going to have the opportunity to have the virtual tour of our spaces. We're going to start with our outdoor spaces, and then we'll show you some of our indoor spaces, and Mrs. Robinson's going to lead that part.
So we are going to show you a still shot tour of Prospect Preschool. Due to COVID, unfortunately, we're not able to have the traditional tour, so we try to capture a few photos to give you an idea of what the premises and school looks like from afar. So this is our main building. We have a west building, and the picture to your right will show you the east building. Due to COVID, we had to step outside the box and create some play spaces for our students. Unfortunately, they cannot mix. They have to remain in their own bubble. So currently, we utilize the main playground. We created a hilltop play area, and we also have a school top play area, which students have access to bikes, playhouses, bowls, and all sorts of other sand play and things like that that they can engage with during the day. And we have the hall. The hall is used for rest time. Students are spaced out in accordance with the protocols. They are separated by class, and they follow a unique crisscross pattern, so head, foot, to adhere to the COVID-19 protocols. From time to time, this space will also be utilized by the physiotherapist if she needs to conduct large movement activities. This is also a space that she tends to utilize during her sessions.
Okay, so I know that many parents are interested in the what. What will my child learn? Which is a very important question. So the nice thing about being part of a system is that every school utilizes the creative curriculum. And the creative curriculum is an system of an approach to teaching that focuses on children's intellectual skills, problem solving, reasoning, being able to use data, and along with that, weaved right into the studies. For example, so if they're studying trees, they're learning those important intellectual skills, as I said, of problem solving, reasoning, using data. But along with that, very intentionally, teachers are focusing on the literacy skills and the mathematics skills and the science skills as well. So should you choose Prospect Preschool at our orientation in June, or whatever time we decide, at whatever point we plan the orientation, we'll delve a little more into the curriculum itself. We also support the creative curriculum program with other supplemental programs. So you can see listed some of the programs that we offer on a weekly basis. The OWLS PALS program is something that's also offered system-wide, and it's a program that helps children to learn how to make good choices, learn how to problem solve, learn how to identify their feelings, talk about their feelings, and it really just supports their emotional and social growth. And that's taught twice weekly. Another program that we are involved and engaged in is a phonemic awareness program where children are playing, doing wordplay with letters and sounds. And then, of course, as you heard earlier, they have weekly guidance lessons with Mr. Peets, who comes over from Prospect Primary, and he teaches guidance lessons that also supports children's social emotional growth. And we have a community partner this year. Usually we have several community partners, but as everyone is aware, things are a little different now. And so we're not out and about as we would normally. So we still try to make learning interesting and fun and make those connections outside the classroom by bringing outside the classroom inside the classroom. So one of our partners that we have been able to utilize on a sort of regular basis is the WISBAMS at Bermuda Zoological Society, and their teacher has actually done Zoom lessons with our children that connect to the topics that we're teaching. On a normal basis, we would include the library and kaleidoscope and lots of other types of outings, educational outings that support what we're teaching in the class. But we, as a staff, we are really doing the best we can to ensure that children still get a well-rounded preschool year. It just allows us to be resourceful and flexible and adaptable. Also, the morning, we provide a morning program. So for parents that need to drop their children off before the 8:30 opening time, we offer a morning program that starts at 8, as well as an after school program that kicks right in at 3. And so that those are just ways of supporting you logistically and ensuring your children are safe if you have to go to work early or if you have to pick them up after 3 o'clock. All right, so let's take a look inside the classrooms. Here is Miss Morby's class. Miss Morby, you want to wave? This is Miss Morby's classroom. You get just a feel of what the classrooms look like, having the desks spaced appropriately. Classroom 2, Miss Outerbridge's class. And classroom 3, Miss Simmons's class.
And the third space is down below. We have the Growing Connections program where myself, Mrs. Weeks, and Ms. Harvey operate out of. And down below, we do use the creative curriculum. However, we also focus mainly on the SARS framework, which focuses on language, communication, and emotional regulation. We also try to use relatable and community-based learning. We teach them life and social skills. We also have a few support programs. We have WinReach. We have a few pictures here on the right and on the left of how we support our children with visuals. And the ladies who we had mentioned earlier, our therapist team, we all work collaboratively as a team when it comes to creating goals for our children, implementing those goals for our children as well. So again, the Growing Connections program is a program for students with exceptionalities, particularly students with autism or a global developmental delay. And this is what the classroom looks like. On your left is the classroom, and on the right is a small, cute little outside area that we utilize from time to time.
Okay, so what does a typical day look like at Prospect Preschool? When your child arrives at school, you will drive your vehicle to the top, as you can see the arrows showing. And once you get to the top, there's a roundabout where you will circle and you will be greeted by a member of staff in the morning. Most times it's myself as the administrator. However, your child will have his or her temperature taken at that time and then happily skip off to class to start the day. Of course, as noted, we have the protocols to follow, the regular and scheduled hand washing, as I said, the temperature taking and the physical distancing to ensure that each child has his or her own space. And we follow the guidelines strictly as we are mandated to.
So similarly to up top, down below, when it comes to the Growing Connections program, parents will drive up on step one, they'll go around the roundabout, they'll come back, and we ask parents to park in the lay-by, and you will help your child out and escort them to the gate where we will receive them. Again, we will ask you the 4 COVID-related questions, and we will also take the student's temperature, and if they clear those things, they will immediately go inside, wash their hands, and begin the morning routine, which consists of them unpacking their bags, signing in, and going on with the day.
Right, so they've had their temperature taken, they're happily in their classroom. So what happens next? When each child gets to his or her class, they have the opportunity to have a bit of choice time, whether it be in a center or at their tables. Teachers are really, really good at ensuring that the activities that are out for choice provide children the opportunity for skill work, that academic skill work, whether it be letter work, number work, fine motor strengthening. So whatever they're doing during that morning choice time, it's strategic, it's fun, it's playing, but it's very strategic. Teachers are very, very intentional about what they're putting out for children to do, and they're noting what children can do and building their plan or their program based on what they're seeing their children do and accomplish during that morning choice time. After morning choice, teachers transition into a whole group learning time every day. And this time is so important for several reasons: for community building, checking in, just to see how everyone's doing as a community. It's a time for intentionality around the topic that we're talking about for the day, and the question we're asking, and the type of research we're going to do today. And so it's a teaching time. It's just with the whole group. It's done in a fun, child appropriate, and a developmentally appropriate way, but they're learning. Teachers are very strategic about what they're teaching, and children understand that this is a learning time. We're having fun, but we're learning at the same time. Same goes for downstairs with the Growing Connections classroom. All of the classrooms will have that whole group community learning time. And that lasts approximately, it could go anywhere from 20 minutes to 30 minutes. Early in the year, it'll be about 15 minutes because they're still learning how to attend and focus in a group. But as they mature and get older, we're finding that they're able to be a part of the group and learn with and from each other for longer periods of time. So after the whole group time, this is the time that many of the children look forward to, is the intra-center times. They get to go out. Each classroom is set up so that children have choice around different activities that they can do. We have, for example, a blocks center, a toys center, a doll house center, or a kitchen. Various activities that are, as I said, are set up for children to do. And again, teachers are very strategic in terms of what they have put out in the centers, and they are circulating with children, talking with children, playing with children as well, because play is children's work. And so that's the next part of the day. While children are in their interest centers, teachers are pulling their small groups. So for example, if we have pictured here Ms. Robinson and Ms. Outerbridge, they have understood that these 3 children need to focus on this particular skill. And so this is a time when she'll pull a small group together while the other children are out in their centers and work on some intentional skills or concepts.
And now we're transitioning over to our outdoor time. Students spend roughly about an hour a day to get some outdoor activity, get some exercise in. So we have just an example of how children play in the different areas. So we have the lower playground, the hilltop area. And we also have captured a few photos of the children engaging in the top play area. On bikes, playing with some basketball, have a little mud kitchen. So they will be getting dirty. So please do not send them to school in your nice clothes. Again, we also do supplemental lessons. If you look to your left, we do, well, whole group read alouds, but if you look to your right, one of the supplemental lessons is guidance with Mr. Pete, and this is just a capture of him with the students engaging during his weekly lessons. So opportunities for parent involvement. We know COVID has slammed us and hit us real hard. However, we do try to get parents involved in our school, our curriculum, and our day. So these are just some of a few events that we host. We have an annual walkathon fundraiser. We have parent-teacher conferences. We also have parent meetings via Zoom. Then we have a parent portal that you'll learn more about once orientation comes, and participating in regular calendar events. You'll receive one monthly. And lastly, we can support studies by sending items to schools. So for instance, currently we're doing the bowl studies, and last week we asked parents if each student can bring in a bowl to share with the class and play outside with. So these are just some small ways that we can participate.
Okay, so as we wrap up our virtual open house, we just want to remind you of our school hours, morning program hours, and our after school hours. We have a website. Every preschool has a website, and here's the address. If you're interested in going, just having a look now, over the next few days, you can visit our website. Remembering that our website has to be constantly updated, and yours truly, I try my best to keep it current, keep it going, and putting the main information that may help you particularly as a prospective parent, just answer some of those questions. Here we go. As a reminder, I'm sure you're well aware that registration will begin tomorrow. You can access the link on the Department of Education's website, and we've listed the documents that will be required for your registration. And we're hoping you choose Prospect Preschool. All right, so we want to ensure that you have our contact information. Um, should you have further questions, my email address. I'm always accessible by email, um, or you may telephone as well. We also have additional contacts at the departmental level. Mrs. Bucci, Sherilyn Bucci, who is in the meeting, as well as Mrs. Carmelita Trott, who is in the meeting, and I believe Mrs. Eve is in the meeting as well. But these are the contact persons at the departmental level, should you need to contact any one of these three persons going forward. So we're done. Thank you. And I hope that what we've shared will give you a sort of a feel of Prospect Preschool and help you in making your decision. As again, we hope you choose us. Our staff is ready to receive you and to take care of your little ones. Now we're going to leave some time for questions.
Good evening, it's Carmelita Trott. Just while we're waiting for questions, if you're interested in the Growing Connections class, can you give me a call so we can discuss your child and if that classroom meets your child's need? But if your child has another need and you want to chat about your child transitioning into Prospect Preschool, you can also give me a call. So it's Carmelita Trott, and my email address was up, car like you're driving, cartrott@gov.bm. or 599-7849. Just give me a call and we can talk about transitioning your child into Prospect Preschool. Welcome aboard. Thanks, Ms. Tucker. Thanks, Ms.
No problem. Okay, so we're going to open up for questions. I'm not sure if we have any questions in the chat that we can start with.
None yet that I can see. But you can certainly unmute yourself, and we do have Ms. Jacqueline Eve on, who will certainly take advantage if we don't have any questions coming through, and then she can still at the end make general comments. Okay, Ms. Eve, maybe this will be a great time for you to remind parents of what's required for registration. And I saw that you put the link in the chat.
And one question, what is the teacher child? Yeah.
Well, the teacher-child ratio pre-COVID was 1:10, but depending on our class sizes, it may be less than that. Infrequently, we may have an extra child in a class, but we are not holding firm to that because we are operating under COVID protocol. And so each class and each site is different. And so we apply the protocol based on the space in the school.
I saw another question that may be good for Ms. Eve around the postal codes for Prospect Preschool.
Oh, I was just responding in chat. Okay, the Prospect Preschool actually serves Pembroke and Devonshire Parish. And I'm not sure how many was on for the presentation prior to this, which was for Victor Scott. Victor Scott also serves Pembroke. So it is a big area. Generally, if there is an oversubscription in one preschool that serves two parishes, we do try to overlap it to see that if you are not successful in getting a placement at Prospect, and if there is availability at Victor Scott, I will give you a call and ask you if you would like to go to the other school that is also serves Pembroke Parish. If you opt out for that, then I'll put you on a waiting list. And just to let you know that right now, Prospect Preschool still has a waiting list for the beginning of last September, the beginning of this school year. So that lets you know the waiting list that Prospect Pre can actually have. The application forms, the link has been put in the chat. So take note of that. The application link doors open at midnight. There is no error. I'm getting many calls to say there's an error, something's going wrong, the department's done something wrong. We haven't done anything wrong. I have a number of registrations going on. I have 4 from tomorrow that I am currently managing. So it's all about control. And so they do open up on February 2nd. Please make sure that they are on. As of midnight on the 4th, it is deemed late. I am very strict about that because we do have a number of applications that come in, and it's very unfair for late applicants to try to take precedence over those who have submitted it. But one thing you need to keep in mind, it is not first come, first served. So even if you put it in at 12:01 tonight, you still may or may not be able to be successfully have a place. Your children should all be toilet trained. Do not be disappointed. We do hold fast on that, and keeping in mind in light of COVID, we are definitely being very mindful of that. And should your child show up in September and they are not toilet trained because you did not be truthful on the application or did not complete that process prior, they will be asked to leave. We are also recommending, it is a recommendation that your child should have had the 2-year child development screening. And that goes back to what Ms. Carmelita Trott is responsible for. It just helps us to identify the needs of your child. And if you give the okay for child development to talk with Ms. Trott, we'll be able to accommodate your needs and provide the appropriate services that are in place. You will need a copy of your child's birth certificate, as well as a copy of a Belco bill for verification of address. No cell phone bills. You can also use a copy of your bank statement. I don't need to see your debits and credits, just simply your name on letterhead. And it should be within at least the last 6 months. Please do not give me something that was dated the year 2000, okay? I look at full submitted applications. I've been known to be quite the detective, so we do try to match them up as best as possible so that every child is awarded a fair placement in the preschools come September. If you are not awarded a placement and your application is on time, you will be placed on a waiting list, so all is not lost. We do have persons who run the applications concurrently, which is a very smart thing to do. Just in case you do not get a spot, you'll still have a spot available in the private sector for a placement. And then if you are placed on a waiting list, I do work the whole year through. So if there are any persons who eventually give up your spot, I can surely refer to the waiting list and give you a shout to ask you if you would like to secure that placement. Any other questions?
There's one about how is the child placed?
How is a child placed? Okay, so first of all, the child is placed, you should be within your correct parish. If you are not in your correct parish, I tend to put your application to the side and process the next application that is processed accordingly. But you have to be within your parish. Like I said, there's only one option. Unlike primary school, next year you'll find it the task to be a little bit easier in terms of, well, until the parish primary schools come into place, that is. But hopefully, if we're still on the same zoning as we are now, primary school registration will be a little bit easier because you have 6 primary schools within the zone, where currently preschools, it just services the parish. Okay, so it's a little bit difficult sometimes to get a placement based on that. So you have to be within the parish and also fit that criteria of toilet trained, a complete, accurate application, and then most importantly, space, that we have enough persons that we can take that. Okay, any other questions in there?
It says, what if you don't have a
questions.
utility bill?
If you do not have a utility bill and you happen to have a lease, or some persons last year actually used just a portion of their mortgage doc to say that they actually reside there. I am very I'm very careful to accept letters from family members to say that Jackie Eve actually resides with mom, dad, because we have found situations that I really do not live with my mom, but I stay in Pembroke Parish in order to get into the respective preschool that I want. So if you do not have a utility bill, please give me a call so that we could discuss to see what your options are, but definitely no cell bills are permitted.
I do see some questions that may be more suited for Mrs. Trott. I'm not quite sure if you saw them, Ms. Trott, around.
I did. I was waiting for registration. Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Thank you. So to the parent who was asking about going into the Growing Connections class, if your child receives CDP services, no, it does not mean you're automatically going to go into the Growing Connections class, because it may not be necessary. So the Growing Connections for children who are diagnosed with ASD or who have global developmental delays, but services at CDP isn't necessarily just for that. So it could be for a child who has speech, OT, PT services. So no, you don't automatically go into Growing Connections, but if you reach out to me by phone or email, we can have a chat about what your child's needs are and what would be the best placement to meet your child's needs in our system, okay? So no, it doesn't, but feel free to call me so we can chat separately, okay?
One point to note is that on the registration form, whether it's virtual or not, you are to indicate if your child has a special need. That is our first flag to let us know that this child possibly may require a further conversation with Ms. Eve and Ms. Trott, who helps to transition children with special needs. Now, we at Child Development Program, parents, if you have your children engaged in services there, you have been asked, if you do, whether you're willing to share information so that we can assist your child transitioning. And so Ms. Trott would get a list of the names of the parents who have said, yes, I would like for this department or schools to know that my child has a special need. So you don't all need to call Ms. Trott. It's particularly those children that have challenges, but we do also want you to indicate that on their registration form. And in terms of toileting, some children may still be in the process of learning to toilet independently. If you are having challenges or struggling with that, you can reach out to the Child Development Program and have your screening if you haven't had your child screened, and also to ask for some guidance on that. In addition, there are several YouTube videos that provide support to parents, but typically developing children would normally be toilet trained by 3-4. And any children that have any medical reasons why they're not, you would definitely need to have that supported by doctors' information support.
Feel free to use any of the free form boxes. If your child may not have special needs, but there's a box on the online registration that there's something that you think needs to stand out. You know, my child's not fully toileted, but you know, it's close to it or anything like that. Use those boxes and make use of those boxes. Just because it says that it's special needs, if you write the appropriate sentence there, it will let us know and it will give us some indication as to what we should know in addition to. I also saw something in the chat as well about a birth certificate. It does not matter where your child was born, what sort of birth certificate. The main thing is that in order to register for Bermuda Public School preschool or public school period, you need to have a residential address, okay? No, what could I say, hotel or anything like that. As long as you have a residential address, then that is fine. We used to, you had to use to prove that you were, have Bermuda status, that Bermuda status letter, that's now going out the door as well. So we no longer receive that, okay?
Okay, well, it looks like we've used up our time, and we appreciate you for staying by. And any final words from Ms. Wilson before we end tonight's open house?
Karen did ask Ms. Bucci how many children are being accepted. I don't know if you wish to answer that, or Ms. Wilson, but it was a question, how many children are being accepted?
Oh, thank you, Ms. Truddy. I didn't see that one. It varies, like I said, at each school, and depending on where we are with the COVID protocol, but there are, you've met the teachers, and so pre-COVID, it was 1 to 10, but I can tell you that at Prospect, it is less than that in some of the spaces. I'm not going to say exactly how many in each and all of that, but just know that it's less than 1 in 10 in some of those classes. And, you know, if your child is successful in getting the application, you'll have orientation, you'll find out which class your child is assigned to, and then you'll be able to get a little bit more information. But just generally, as a, just so that you can kind of estimate, I guess, so like I said, it's just under 1 on 10. And in the Growing Connections, it's 6 children. We have 6 children in that class. 1 teacher, and we have 2 paras. It's a 1-to-2 ratio.
All right, well, we have finished. I'd like to say thank you again for joining us, parents and Department of Education officials. Thank you for joining us. As we leave, I'd just like Ms. Harvey, one of our paraeducators, to wave, who works in the Growing Connections classroom, and she just had some problems getting on, but we're thankful that she was able to make it on. So have a good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us.